Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Michelle. I garden in zone 7B, 8A, and I go by the name Gardens and Chickens on social media. I am doing a monthly garden walk through the gardens to show you what's blooming and the state of the gardens every month. And the reason that I'm doing that is that when I first started gardening, I read all about 4-season interests, and you would see these gorgeous gardens and pictures on Instagram, on Pinterest of like these incredible gardens, and I never saw what they looked like in winter. I never saw what they looked like in fall. Whatever the season of interest in, that's all I saw, and so I was never able to visualize what a garden looked like in all 4 seasons and how I could do that. And so that's why I think it's so important to show you exactly how it is, exactly at the time of the video. So that's why I don't often post pictures that aren't in season or unless they're very obvious. And so that's the whole reason that I'm going and showing you what the gardens look like every single month transparently. So let me spin you around and show you what the gardens look like. Still very brown. I moved the citrus trees. I just love potted citrus. So this is a Eureka lemon, and then that is a kumquat. So I moved the citrus trees out to get some sun now that it's incredibly gorgeous. And here is the state of the garden. This is one of the only beds I can't show you what it looks like in spring because this will be its first spring season. I created it just in fall. I made sure to add some evergreen interest so that there was something. And then I added in a couple of bulbs. Here's some tulips. And then popping up are peonies. I can't wait to see what they look like. We have some daffodils that are coming up. And I'm not sure you can see that. Can you see that? We are starting to get lilacs leafing out here. So lots of excitement and things happening. Also joining the flower party is pulmonaria. This is a great shade plant. I love the foliage. I love the blooms. It is a really fun one. Also some daffodils, and I'll insert a picture of what this bed looks like later in the season. Past the playground is the girls' butterfly garden. I am going to insert a picture of what that looks like in spring and summer. Compared to that, you can see it's very sleepy. I feel like the only evergreen interest I have here is that little white llama. And then moving on into this area. This area hasn't changed too much. This path right here is about to get a nice little makeover, and I'm really excited because I'm not doing it. Like, I had the idea, the want to do it, but I do not want to grade. And so we are cutting a check for it, and I can't wait to show you the before and after. The hellebores are still absolutely beautiful. And there are a couple of things blooming, but they're smaller, so let me take you up close. So I hope you're seeing this. This is a Merlot weeping redbud. I absolutely adore this tree, and it looks like it's maybe a couple weeks away from blooming, which is always so exciting. Then in the back there, you can see the camellia. That one came with the house, so I don't know the variety, but it is also in bloom now. And over here, this gorgeous blue bloom is a Georgia creeping speedwell. Such a nice ground cover. And then all of these beds that line the path back here are pretty shady, and they're actually some of my favorite beds to play in and to plant up. I'll insert a picture of what this looks like regularly. I added this year that blue weeping spruce because there really isn't much winter interest in this area, and so I wanted to add a little something with a slender height profile. In terms of things that are waking up, I can't believe this hydrangea is leafing out. This is Proven Winter Color Choice Aha hydrangea, and it is the first to leaf out in my yard. I am absolutely shocked. Everything else is still very sleepy and getting there. And then if I spin over here, this bed, I added those 2 Nana globulosa conifers. They're the 2 little balls. I love these. The tag said that it was a 3x3. I've later learned that they grow much larger. So I've been shaping them to keep them in that shape, but I might replace them with an actual dwarf conifer and move these somewhere where they can grow to their full potential. But I will put in a photo of what this bed looks like in the springtime. This bed right here is full of Japanese painted ferns, which I love. There are some hostas in this bed. There are some bleeding hearts. I can't wait for all of that to wake up and see what that looks like this year. And then the Edgeworthia, the beautiful Edgeworthia, which has provided so much winter interest from probably about November when the buds start forming. They look like little ornaments, to now when they're fully open and starting to age. You can see they're starting to brown. Some of them are falling. Once the leaves start pushing, that's when they all really fall. But it smells spectacular, and it's really gotten me through the winter season. So I am so in love with this shrub. I will add a picture of what this bed looks like in the spring. A lot of these things are kind of newly planted and added in here. Lots of hostas. Then if I back up further, up here there's more sun. So we have daffodils that are getting ready to pop. This is another hydrangea from the Tough Stuff series from Proven Winners, also leafed out. And then up front right here at that lowest level, this is a little hedge of calamint. There's some autumn joy sedum, and then closer to the planter is some tall phlox. So this bed is super fun. This bed has a taller hydrangea. This is a persimmon tree that should have a lot of winter interest, but I haven't had it bear fruit yet. But the fruit ripens in the winter, so they look like little ornaments, which, how precious is that? It's this one right here, this young tree. And then daffodils. We have this right here is some dianthus. I believe it's either peach pie dianthus, which smells incredible. Behind it is geum. That is Prettycoat's peach geum, which is a gorgeous color, and I just love geum. I think these Prettycoat's peach geum are pretty early spring bloomers. In fact, let me zoom in. I think I see a bud. Do you see that? It is budding up. So in a few weeks, this is gonna be incredible, or maybe even in a couple days. But yeah, so these are gonna start blooming soon. Those were planted in late summer, so I haven't seen them bloom. I absolutely can't wait to see them bloom. This will be the first time. And then over here, the autumn ferns will be popping up. There are foxgloves that should be blooming later this year. These daffodils are the earliest, and you can see I've been cutting on them, a few left. And then these varieties, I just love these doubles. They don't stay upright for long, but what that means is that you get bouquets indoors. But how gorgeous is that? I'm gonna zoom in on one. I mean, come on. Anyways, sorry. Beautiful, I love. In front is yarrow. This is a Proven Winner. It's from the Firefly series. I can't remember the name all of a sudden. I'll put in a picture. If you're looking for a longer blooming, multi kind of season rebloomer, I really love this Fireflies. Very good plant. And then as we rotate over here, I added in a new hellebore just earlier this week. I just felt like this bed needed a little bit more fun in that corner while those later blooming varieties of daffodils were waking up. So these guys are still budded up. These are pretty much the last to bloom. So I thought it would be fun to have. That is Anna's red hellebore right there. It is a very pretty one. There's some more geums here. It looks like we lost one. There used to be 3, but isn't that how it always happens? I will back up and I'm going to insert a picture of what this looked like in spring and summer. This bed changes a lot. And then I have to rethink kind of what this bed will look like this year, since some of the things I lost, and I don't know whether I'll replace them with the same variety or we'll try something new. But I love wormwood. It adds such a beautiful silver layer, and it's just a striking contrast. Foliage really is just the way to go. So this is my soapbox on blooms versus foliage. Blooms are fleeting, right? You'll get them for a couple of weeks. If it's a longer blooming variety, they are absolutely gorgeous. I plant them everywhere. They're worth it. I love them. But foliage, if you can find a plant that does well in your area that has interesting foliage, that will give you so much more of an impact in a bed, in a space, because the whole season, regardless of whether it's in bloom or not, it will have that striking foliage, that striking contrast. And for me, my favorite color is the silver. Silvers just brighten up almost any space or variegation. I love white variegated things. You can see the variegated ivy used there as a ground cover. It just brightens up that whole space. So that's my soapbox. I really love foliage. I really love variegation. And so if there's a cool plant that has a neat color leaf, I will 100% be buying that. Okay, I think I've over soapboxed. Let me move over and show you the rest of the beds really quickly. This video is likely getting way too long. Hydrangeas have not woken up. Azaleas, which are normally evergreen, but this year are not. Hopefully they'll bounce back soon. This bed has a lot of things in here that will bloom and be gorgeous later. Right now you can see not much is happening. It looks like over here the red bud is starting to bud up. Let me show you. So this is a rising sun red bud. It's gorgeous both for the blooms that are about to happen, but then the foliage when it leaves out is absolutely striking. And then speaking of striking foliage, right underneath it, that gorgeous foliage that you see, that is candy corn spirea, double play candy corn spirea. It's one of my favorite. I use it as a filler in arrangements. Has some blooms. I don't even care about the blooms. I just love this color. And then the daffodils here, these are an earlier variety, so they are also starting to peter out. I'll share a shot like this as well so that I can put in a picture of what this bed looks like in the springtime for comparison. And then one exciting thing behind this conifer I want to show you. Do you see what I see? Clematis is budding up, so this thing is coming back to life. I am so excited. This was a mix or a collection from Longfield Garden that I purchased at Costco probably 4 years ago now. I am inserting a picture of what it looks like in bloom. It's incredible and probably one of my favorite things in this corner. Then this is a little tiny garden off the patio. The daffodils are coming, they're opening up. I put a mixed variety of daffodils here so that they're blooming at different times and there's kind of always something happening. And then these peonies are actually from Moya over at Garden Addicts. She sent them to me. I believe they're called Honey Bowl. They haven't bloomed yet, but there is two in this bed, one right here and then one over there if you can see, and hopefully this is the year that they bloom. This path goes down to our garden beds. This path we DIY'd and it's definitely one of my favorite things in the garden. I love what paths do to a garden space. I'll also put in a side-by-side picture of what this garden looks like in the spring after the hostas wake up. So maybe it's just my voyeuristic personality, but I love garden peeking into people's gardens at different times, not just when it's beautiful and at its peak in that perfect angle, but I want to see it all the time. I want to see what it looks like when it's dull. I want to see it when it's kind of resetting and things aren't fully in bloom. That's what I like to see, and so that's why I'm sharing that with you. If you find this interesting, I hope you go ahead and hit the follow button. I hope you share this with a friend, and I hope that we can talk plants and talk about how to improve spaces in all seasons together. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.